He pushed me into the pool for his colleagues' laughter. Now the whole world will watch him drown. My husband forgot one thing. I know where he buried every skeleton. And I don't need a shovel to dig them up. The ice cubes in the pitcher had long since melted by the time I noticed Max's assistant, Jeremy, hovering at the patio door. He cleared his throat like a nervous sparrow. Mrs. Whitmore? The caterers are asking about the shrimp skewers. I didn't look up from slicing limes. They're in the second fridge. Labeled. A beat too late, Jeremy added. Mr. Whitmore also said to remind you about the client from Zurich. Yes, the one allergic to cilantro. My knife hit the cutting board with a sharp thwack. I memorized the list, Jeremy. He flinched. Good. Beyond the kitchen windows, the backyard glittered under strings of Edison bulbs. Max's laughter boomed across the pool deck, where his investment team clinked flutes of Veuve Clicquot, the good bottles, the ones I'd hidden for my sister's birthday next week. You should join them, Jeremy offered. I wiped citrus juice from my wrists. Someone has to play hostess. Jeremy lingered, picking at his cufflinks. He was new 3 weeks in and still naive enough to think Max's charm wasn't a calculated performance. Just, Mr. Whitmore mentioned you've been under the weather lately. His gaze flicked to the untouched Prozac prescription on the counter. I smiled sweetly. How kind of him to notice. Across the yard, Lena from Mergers and Acquisitions balanced on stiletto heels near the pool's edge, her martini sloshing as she whispered to the CFO. Heard the board's voting on the Singapore expansion next month, she murmured. Max is shockingly confident for someone whose numbers are, she trailed off, noticing my stare. I raised my freshly filled tray of mojitos in salute. Her smile tightened. Max's promotion wasn't secured yet. And Lena with her Harvard MBA and strategically unbuttoned blouses wanted his seat. I'd seen the emails she accidentally forwarded to his inbox. The tray trembled in my hands. Not from exhaustion, but from the sound, that particular pitch of Max's laughter that meant he was performing. The one he used at galas when pretending to listen to my anecdotes about pottery class. Claire. Finally. Max detached from a group of junior analysts, his tie already loosened. We're dying of thirst here. I counted the empty bottles on the nearest table. 8. Enough that his colleagues wouldn't remember details tomorrow. You're welcome to grab your own drinks, I said lightly. His grin didn't reach his eyes. Come on, babe. Play nice. A few associates chuckled. Someone muttered, Whitmore's got his hands full. 6 months ago, Max would have noticed the way my knuckles whitened around the tray. Now he was too busy accepting a cigar from the VP, who clapped him on the back like a conquering hero. Then it happened. Max's hand, supposedly reaching for a mojito, slipped. The tray upended. And with a nudge of his hip against mine, the world tilted. The water was colder than I expected. The bathroom door locked with a click that sounded louder than the party downstairs. I stared at my reflection, mascara bleeding into the crow's feet I'd noticed last month, my blonde hair dark and heavy with pool water. The Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress, a sorry I missed our anniversary gift, hung limp on the hook, its vibrant peacock pattern now a waterlogged gray. A knock. Claire. Max's voice, tinged with that particular blend of amusement and irritation he reserved for when I overreacted. You okay in there? I turned the faucet on full blast. Through the door. Jesus, it was just a joke. Lena thought it was hilarious. Lena. Of course. I counted the beauty products lining the shower shelf, 12 in total, all selected by Max's decorator. Not a single one mine. The guest bathroom, like everything in this house, was a stage set. By the pool, the CFO lit a cigar with Max's monogrammed lighter. 50 says she gives you the silent treatment for a week. Lena twirled the stem of her martini glass between manicured fingers. 100 says she's making your coffee tomorrow like nothing happened. Max grinned, but his thumb worried at the condensation on his whiskey glass. Relax. Claire's not. He trailed off as Jeremy appeared with a fresh tray of oysters. The assistant's eyes darted to the second-floor window where my silhouette moved behind the blinds. Problem, Jeremy? Max's voice sharpened. No, sir. Just. The Zurich client asked about the cilantro-free menu again. Lena smirked. Better check on that, assistant. Jeremy's grip whitened around the tray. Daniel Carter set down his copy of The Count of Monte Cristo when the splash echoed across the hedges. From his third-floor balcony he had a perfect view of 1. Claire Whitmore surfacing like a shipwreck victim. 2. The husband high-fiving his colleagues. 3. The moment her face went blank before walking away. His therapist would call it unhealthy, this habit of observing the neighbors. His ex-wife had called it creepy. But when Claire's robe slipped as she reached for a towel revealing the jagged scar along her ribs from last year's skiing accident, Daniel made a decision. He texted his sister, "Cancel the Paris trip. Something's come up." The shoebox behind my winter boots contained $3,200 in cash, a spare set of car keys, the Nokia burner phone buzzing with Sophie's messages. "Sophie, 9:47 p.m. Tell me you're not still playing Stepford wife." "Sophie, 10:12 p.m. Claire. Answer me." I typed one-handed while wringing out my hair. "Me, 10:15 p.m. Remember that PI friend of yours? I need a favor." Downstairs, glass shattered. Max's slurred shout, "Where the F is my view? Click what?" The phone buzzed again. "Not Sophie. Unknown, 10:16 p.m. Singapore files secured. Waiting your move." I smiled for the first time that night. Jeremy found me in the laundry room stuffing my wet dress into the incinerator. "Mrs. Whitmore." He swallowed hard. "About Miami last month. I know about the spa charges." The fabric caught fire with a satisfying whump. "What I need are the receipts from Zurich." His Adam's apple bobbed. "Mr. Whitmore said those were confidential." And yet. I closed the incinerator door. "Here you are." The security system beeped. Max stumbling past motion sensors in the garden. Jeremy flinched at the sound. I handed him a flash drive. "Bring me everything by Monday." At 2:17 a.m., Max collapsed into bed reeking of cigar smoke and Lena's vanilla perfume. I lay motionless as he snored. Outside, Daniel's balcony light flicked on. And in my palm the burner phone buzzed with a new alert. Subject: Board meeting notes. Singapore discrepancies. The revenge would be served colder than the pool water still clinging to my skin. The fog clung to the manicured lawns of Willow Ridge like a guilty secret. I adjusted the strap of my silk robe, a deliberate choice. This peach kimono Max hated, and jangled my keys near the parcel locker. Right on schedule, Daniel Carter rounded the hedge, his running shoes damp with dew. Up close, the scar through his left eyebrow looked more pronounced. "Trouble with your mail, Mrs. Whitmore?" His voice was gravel wrapped in velvet. I let the locker door clang shut. "The code's not working. Would you mind?" As he reached past me I catalogued details. Gun oil under the sandalwood cologne, confirming the PI rumors. Calluses on his right hand from rock climbing per Sophie's intel. The way his gaze lingered on my bare ring finger. "You're up early," he remarked, handing me Max's package custom golf shoes. "Funny." I tilted my head. Max told his colleagues he plays every Saturday. Daniel's smirk was a blade. "I've lived here 18 months. Never seen him touch a club." A car door slammed nearby. Jeremy hurried past with 2 coffees, eyes downcast. Daniel noted my tracking gaze. "Your husband's assistant looks conflicted." I tucked the package under my arm. "Everyone breaks eventually." Sophie's penthouse smelled of cardamom and vengeance. 3 years. She slammed the mimosa pitcher down hard enough to crack the marble. 3 goddamn years of this. The surveillance photos fanned across the table like a tarot spread predicting ruin. 1. Max and Lena at Carbone, her hand on his thigh. 2. 3 a.m. at Soho House, his tie loose around her neck. 3. The Zurich hotel elevator, his lips at her temple. My sister stabbed a finger at the bank statement. "Look at the date. December 12th, the day after my birthday. A $12,000 withdrawal. Memo line, wedding deposit St. Lucia." The room tilted. Sophie muted the CNBC report on Max's Singapore expansion. "He's not just cheating. He's rewriting your future." I traced the photo edges. "The board meets Monday." Her grin was feral. "Let's give them a show." Jeremy met me in the parking garage beneath Whitmore Capital, his collar damp with sweat. "Zurich receipts." He thrust the envelope at me. "But you need to see this." The photo showed Max signing documents at a private airstrip. Date stamped March 15, the day I'd buried my mother. Offshore Holdings LLC headed the top page. He made me notarize it last month. Jeremy's voice cracked. It's the Hampton House. He transferred it to Lena. My calmness startled us both. The elevator dinged. Jeremy flinched as a janitor passed. I slid the envelope into my bag. At Monday's board meeting, when Lena presents the Singapore numbers. Wait. He gripped my wrist. There's audio. His phone played Max's voice. Just doctor the quarterly reports. By the time the board realizes. The recording cut off. I squeezed his shoulder. Be ready at 10 a.m. sharp. Daniel was waiting with 2 tumblers of 18-year Macallan when I got home. To new alliances. He clinked his glass against mine. Through the hedges, Max paced by the pool, phone pressed to his ear. I told you the Singapore numbers are fine. Daniel studied me over the rim of his glass. Need an alibi? The bourbon burned like a promise. Need a partner. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Welcome to the dark side. Below us, Max threw his phone into the pool. The elevator doors slid open to the 42nd floor executive suite, where the scent of overpriced coffee and ambition hung thick in the air. I adjusted the lapels of my Stella McCartney blazer, calculated choice. This sharp white silhouette that made me look like I belonged here. Jeremy stood waiting by the boardroom door, his fingers drumming against a manila folder. They're all inside, he whispered. Lena's already setting up her presentation. Through the glass walls, I could see Max at the head of the mahogany table, laughing too loudly at something the CFO said. His navy Tom Ford suit was new, probably bought with funds from our joint account. I pressed the flash drive into Jeremy's palm. Wait for my signal. His throat bobbed. What if? Remember Miami. I straightened his tie. The spa receipts. The lies. A muscle twitched in his jaw as he nodded. Lena's Louboutins clicked across the boardroom floor as she dimmed the lights. As you'll see in Exhibit 12, she purred, Singapore profits are up 22% quarter-over-quarter. The PowerPoint slide gleamed with manipulated bar graphs. Max leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, the picture of smug satisfaction. I cleared my throat from the doorway. Every head swiveled. Max's espresso cup froze halfway to his lips. Mrs. Whitmore, the CFO began, this is a private. Claire. Max's smile turned brittle. What are you? I strolled to the empty seat beside Lena and dropped my Birkin on the table with a thud. Don't mind me. Just here to learn about this remarkable Singapore success. Lena's manicured finger hovered over her clicker. Perhaps we should. Actually, I interrupted, nodding to Jeremy, I believe my husband's assistant has something to add. The room held its breath as Jeremy plugged in the flash drive. Max's voice crackled through the speakers. Just doctor the quarterly reports. By the time the board realizes the Singapore losses. Lena's recorded giggle. Relax, darling. I've made numbers dance before. Chaos erupted. The CFO lunged for his laptop. 2 VPs started shouting over each other. Max's face drained of color as he stared at me, really looked at me for the first time in years. I sipped my coffee. Cold, just how I liked it. Jeremy slid a second folder across the table to the board chairman. You'll also find evidence of unauthorized offshore transfers, he said louder now. Including the Hampton property. Lena's chair screeched as she stood. This is absurd. Those numbers are fake. I finished sweetly. We know. Max's fist hit the table. Claire, you have no idea what you've. The chairman silenced him with a raised hand. Mrs. Whitmore, may I ask how you obtained this? I met Max's furious gaze. Every empire has its weak spots. Daniel handed me a gin martini as we watched the news ticker scroll across his television. Whitmore Capital stock plummets 18% after fraud allegations. Happy? He asked. I swirled the olive in my glass. Not yet. Below us, Max's Tesla peeled out of the driveway. Right on schedule, Lena's Uber arrived at his office building, suitcases in tow. Daniel's phone buzzed with a text from his PI contact. Credit report secured. She's $83,000 in debt. I smiled. Now we wait for the begging to start. The burner phone lit up the guest bedroom with its third notification of the night. I let it ring out, savoring the vibration against the nightstand like a cat purring under my fingertips. When the voicemail icon appeared, I put it on speaker. Claire. Jesus Christ, Claire. Pick up. Max's voice was raw, the way it got after too many whiskeys. The board suspended me. Suspended. Do you have any idea what you've... A glass shattered in the background. Call me back. We need to talk about this like adults. I deleted it. Across the hall, the landline started ringing. I unplugged it with methodical precision, just as I'd done with the Wi-Fi router earlier. The house sighed into perfect silence. The Starbucks on Fifth Avenue smelled of burnt espresso and desperation. Lena had chosen the location public enough for deniability, private enough for pleading. She looked like hell. No blowout today, just greasy hair shoved under a baseball cap. Her manicure had grown out, and her left hand kept twitching toward her phone like it was a lifeline. You need to call off Jeremy, she hissed, stirring her latte with enough force to slosh coffee over the rim. He's telling HR I pressured him to alter documents. I sipped my chamomile tea. Didn't you? That's not. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and paled. Shit. My credit card just got declined. I slid an envelope across the table. Inside, a screenshot of her $83,000 debt ledger. Her breath hitched. How did you? Max didn't tell you? I tilted my head. I always check his emails. The realtor's office smelled of lemon polish and broken dreams. I don't understand, the perky blonde said, flipping through her paperwork. The deed transfer was finalized last month. I handed her a notarized document from my purse. Except this proves my signature was forged. Her manicured finger traced the date. This is the day of your mother's funeral? In the corner, Daniel's PI contact discreetly snapped photos of the realtor's shocked expression. Evidence for the inevitable lawsuit. The realtor swallowed hard. Mrs. Whitmore, I'll need to contact Mr. Whitmore. By all means. I smiled. Though he might be a bit tied up. As I left, the TV in the waiting area flashed news of Max's frozen assets. He caught me at the mailbox again. Max looked like a man who hadn't slept in days, his usually perfect hair greasy, his shirt wrinkled. The faint smell of bourbon clung to him like bad decisions. Claire. He grabbed my wrist. Please. I didn't pull away. Just stared at his hand until he let go. They're talking criminal charges, he whispered. I could lose everything. The streetlight caught the panic in his bloodshot eyes. I adjusted the strap of my purse. Not everything. Just what you stole. His breath came faster. You don't understand, Lena's already lawyered up. She's saying I pressured her into. Like you pressured Jeremy? I clicked my tongue. Funny how that keeps happening. A car turned onto our street. Max flinched at the headlights like they were paparazzi. I dropped the final bomb. The Hampton house is mine again. I changed the locks today. His knees actually buckled. The doorbell rang precisely 3 times sharp, impatient bursts that could only mean one person. Eleanor Whitmore stood on my doorstep in a Chanel tweed suit, her signature jasmine perfume cutting through the crisp autumn air. At 62 she still carried herself like the Boston Brahmin she was, spine straight enough to balance a dictionary on. Claire. She didn't wait for an invitation, brushing past me into the foyer. We need to talk. I watched her inspect the living room, the missing family photos, the packed boxes by the stairs. Her lips thinned. Where's my son? Last I heard. I poured myself coffee, ignoring the second cup she expected. Begging his lawyer for a payment plan. Her Gucci clutch snapped open. This childish revenge ends today. The check she slapped on the counter had enough zeros to make a banker blush. 5 million. Eleanor's manicured finger tapped the check like it was a chess piece. Non-negotiable terms. I stirred cream into my coffee, watching the liquid swirl. Let me guess. I dropped the forgery claims, testify the board overreacted, and play devoted wife at Max's hearing. Don't be dramatic. It's as simple. And Lena? Her nostrils flared. That gold-digging secretary will be handled. Through the window, I saw Daniel's SUV roll into his driveway across the street. Right on schedule. I pushed the check back. There's not enough money in Boston to make me protect him again. Eleanor's mask slipped, just for a second, revealing the panic underneath. You'll ruin generations of... Good. The front door opened. Daniel walked in carrying 2 takeout bags, pretending surprise. Oh. I didn't realize you had company. Eleanor's gaze darted between us, connecting dots. I see. Daniel set down the food. Mrs. Whitmore. His nod was just polite enough to insult. The silence stretched like a noose. Jeremy's new office smelled of fresh paint and possibility. First day as junior analyst. He rolled the title around his mouth like fine wine. Who knew Morgan Stanley recruited at Starbucks? I adjusted the framed photo on his desk, a shot of us outside the courthouse after his whistleblower testimony. They love a redemption story. His smile faded. Max's mother subpoenaed my emails. Let her. I handed him an envelope. Your severance from Whitmore Capital just cleared. 6 months' salary. His eyes widened at the amount. This is generous. Not from me. I nodded toward the window where Eleanor's town car idled. She pays for her son's mistakes. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Ellis? HR needs your signature on the ethics waiver. Jeremy squared his shoulders. Send them in. Moonlight pooled across Daniel's bedsheets as I traced the tattoo on his shoulder, Latin phrase I'd finally deciphered. Acta non verba, I murmured. Deeds not words. His hand stilled on my back. Eleanor made inquiries about me today. I propped myself up on one elbow. And, turns out, he smirked. My ex-wife went to Wellesley with her niece. The connection hit me like a champagne cork. You knew. His silence confirmed everything. This wasn't coincidence. Daniel had chosen this house, this street, this revenge. Downstairs, my burner phone buzzed with Max's 27th missed call. I reached for my robe. We should. Daniel pulled me back down. Let him wait. The Hamptons safe had been hidden behind a false panel in the wine cellar for 6 years. I only knew about it because Max had drunkenly bragged about it to his golf buddies during our 3rd anniversary party. The combination was our wedding date. The metal door swung open with a whisper, revealing a stack of Swiss bank statements, 2 unmarked USB drives, a velvet box containing Lena's diamond tennis bracelet. I snapped photos of every document, the flash illuminating dates and amounts that told a damning story. The USB drives went into my pocket. The bracelet stayed. My phone buzzed with Daniel's text. Press conference at noon. Bring champagne. Jeremy met me at the Starbucks across from Whitmore Capital, his Morgan Stanley lanyard swinging as he sat down. They're calling an emergency board meeting. He slid a folder across the table. Lena's been funneling funds through the Singapore account for months. The documents showed transfers to an offshore shell company, $287,000 total. All authorized by Max's digital signature. I sipped my tea. How's Eleanor taking it? Badly. Jeremy smirked. She offered me double my salary to retract my testimony. The burner phone in my bag vibrated with an incoming email. The subject line, urgent, court filing re, Whitmore prenup. I didn't open it. The courthouse steps swarmed with reporters hungry for a scandal. Max's lawyer droned through a prepared statement about misunderstandings and accounting discrepancies. Then the screens lit up. Every phone in the crowd buzzed simultaneously with a mini-talks alert. Whitmore Capital CFO's secret debts leaked. Lena's credit report complete with maxed-out cards and 3 delinquent student loans blazed across every financial news outlet. Max's head snapped toward me. I gave him a small wave from behind my sunglasses. Daniel's hand settled on the small of my back. Watch this. On screen, Lena shoved through reporters, her shriek audible even from across the plaza. Those numbers were Whitmore's idea. Max's Porsche screeched into the driveway as I was packing the last of my books. He looked hollow eyes bloodshot, tie missing, the cuffs of his $3,000 shirt frayed where he'd clearly been chewing them. Claire. His voice cracked. Please. I continued wrapping first editions in tissue paper. He fell to his knees. Actual tears streaked his face. I'll do anything. The house, the cars, the prenup's ironclad. I taped another box shut. You made sure of that. His phone rang. Eleanor's face flashed on the screen. I handed him a tissue. You should get that. Daniel's loft smelled of espresso and encrypted hard drives. The first USB stick contained exactly what we expected. Spreadsheets of Max's hidden accounts, photos of Lena signing fraudulent documents, audio files labeled Board Prep Q3. the second stick made us freeze. Are those? Daniel zoomed in on the timestamp. Security feeds. The video showed Eleanor Whitmore in Max's office, sliding a folder to Lena. The date, 3 days before the Singapore vote. I rewound, turning up the volume. The board will approve if Claire appears supportive, Eleanor said. Ensure she's distracted at the Hamptons that weekend. Lena's smirk was venomous. What if she refuses? Eleanor's pearl necklace gleamed as she leaned forward. Then remind her what happened last time she disobeyed family plans. The screen went black. Daniel's hand found mine. The skiing accident. My phone exploded with notifications the moment we stepped outside. Sophie, turn on CNBC. Jeremy. Just filed emergency injunction unknown. Check your shares, the news ticker screamed. Whitmore matriarch freezes Claire's assets. Ein fraud probe, Daniel swore under his breath. She's playing the embezzlement card. I scrolled through the filing. Eleanor's claim that I'd manipulated financial documents to frame Max. My laugh startled a passing couple. She doesn't know about the USB. Daniel's grin was feral. Yet. Amanda Carter arrived precisely on time, her Louboutins clicking across the marble lobby of Daniel's building. At 45, she still carried herself like the federal prosecutor she'd once been. You should have called me sooner, she said, shrugging off her coat to reveal a blazer sharp enough to draw blood. Daniel poured scotch. We have video. Amanda watched the USB footage once, then twice. Oh, Eleanor, she murmured. You stupid, arrogant bitch. She snapped her briefcase open. I'll need Claire's medical records from the skiing incident. I handed over the file I'd kept hidden for 2 years. The one with the ER doctor's note. Inconsistent with accidental fall. Amanda tucked it away. Let's ruin them properly. Max's Audi screeched to a halt outside Daniel's building. He stumbled out, tie loose, holding a bottle of Dom Perignon, my favorite. The security camera caught it all. Him pressing the buzzer. Him begging through the intercom. Him sinking to his knees when I didn't answer. Inside, Amanda watched the feed with clinical detachment. He'll try to recant the prenup next. Daniel muted Max's sobs. Will it work? Amanda sipped her drink. Not after tomorrow. My phone lit up with Eleanor's first ever text. We should talk. I blocked the number. The news station's fluorescent lights made Amanda's pearl earrings glow like miniature moons as she adjusted my lapel mic. Remember, she murmured, let the evidence speak. No emotion. Behind us, the producer counted down on his fingers. 15 minutes to air. Daniel handed me a glass of water, no ice, just how I preferred it. His thumb brushed my wrist in silent reassurance. On the monitor, footage of Max's courthouse meltdown played on loop. The Chiron read, Whitmore heirs empire crumbles. Amanda snapped her briefcase shut. Eleanor's watching. I made sure of it. The USB stick in my pocket felt heavier than a bullet. The anchor's smile didn't reach her eyes. Mrs. Whitmore, you're alleging a conspiracy involving your mother-in-law? I laid the documents on the glass desk one by one. 1. The ER report with the doctor's handwritten note. 2. Lena's bank transfers timed before the Singapore vote. 3. The USB video queued up on the monitor. The footage played. Gasps rippled through the studio as Eleanor's voice filled the room. Ensure she's distracted at the Hamptons that weekend. The anchor's manicured finger flew to her earpiece. Weary getting reports that Whitmore Capital stock has halted trading. Amanda leaned forward. Wait for it. The screen's split-live footage showed Eleanor pushing past reporters outside her Beacon Hill townhouse. A younger woman blocked her path. Daniel stiffened. Is that? Hi, sister, I confirmed as Sophie shoved a microphone in Eleanor's face. Care to comment on arranging your daughter-in-law's accident? By lunchtime. #Whitmore crimes trended globally. 3 board members resigned. Lena's lawyer issued a statement blaming Max. Jeremy met us at the cafe with fresh intel. Eleanor's liquidating her jewelry. He slid over a receipt, a $1.2 million necklace sold at auction. Amanda examined it. Retainer for Max's new criminal attorney. Daniel's phone buzzed. He showed me the text. Carter, you bastard. Well played. I raised an eyebrow. Eleanor's cousin, he explained. The one who introduced me to Amanda. The pieces clicked. Daniel hadn't just known about the Whitmores. He'd been waiting for this moment for years. Max's call came as I packed the last box in my home. Claire. His voice was raw. Please. I'll sign anything. The houses, the art, I watched movers wrap the Warhol he'd always hated. Your mother should have bribed me better. A choked sob. She's cutting me off. The lawyers say. I know what they say. The click of my heels echoed through empty rooms. Federal prison doesn't allow champagne, Max. Silence. Then the sound of glass shattering on his end. I hung up as the doorbell rang. Daniel stood on the porch with 2 tickets to Bali and a smile that promised new beginnings. The courtroom smelled of lemon polish and stale ambition. Max shuffled in behind his new lawyer, a baby-faced public defender Eleanor had clearly hired last minute. His Hugo Boss suit hung loose now, the collar gaping where he'd lost weight. The judge adjusted her glasses. Mr. Whitmore, you're contesting the prenuptial agreement you yourself drafted? Max's knuckles whitened on the table. I was coerced. Amanda didn't even stand. She simply pressed a button on her laptop. The courtroom speakers crackled to life with Max's voice from our engagement party. Of course I want a prenup, Claire. A real one. None of this marital assets nonsense. Laughter. Clinking glasses. The judge's eyebrow arched. Coerced, Mr. Whitmore? I kept my eyes on the court reporter's fingers as they flew across the keyboard, transcribing Max's death rattle. Lena entered like a woman already in prison, flat shoes. No makeup, her once glossy hair pulled into a tight bun. She didn't look at Max as she took the stand. Ms. Delacroix, Amanda began, who instructed you to alter the Singapore reports? Lena's fingers pleated her skirt. Maxwell Whitmore. A gasp from the gallery. Max's chair screeched as he stood. You lying. The judge's gavel cracked. One more outburst and you'll be removed. Amanda advanced. And the transfers to your offshore account? Eleanor's idea. Lena's voice gained strength. Payment for keeping Claire distracted. I exhaled slowly, watching Max unravel stitch by stitch. During recess, Daniel met me outside with 2 coffees and a manila envelope. You'll want to see this. Inside, grainy surveillance stills from the Hamptons safe's hidden compartment. My breath caught. The ski trip. The photos showed Max and Eleanor arguing the morning of my accident. His hands gripping her shoulders. Her mouth twisted in fury. Then the damning shot, Max handing a wad of cash to the ski instructor. Daniel's thumb brushed my wrist. Statute of limitations hasn't run out on attempted assault. Across the plaza, reporters swarmed Eleanor's town car. She emerged like a cornered animal, pearls askew. I squared my shoulders. Let's finish this. The judge didn't even retire to deliberate. Mr. Whitmore, she said, peering over her glasses, you are perhaps the least credible witness to ever appear in my courtroom. The ruling was brutal. Prenup upheld in its entirety. Additional penalties for litigation misconduct. Referred to DOJ for criminal investigation. Max made a sound like a wounded animal. Outside, Daniel's SUV idled at the curb. As I slid into the passenger seat, my phone buzzed, a text from Jeremy. Eleanor just resigned from the opera board. I looked back at the courthouse steps where Max stood alone, tie flapping in the wind, staring at his revoked keycard to the Whitmore Capitol building. Daniel shifted the car into drive. Bali still on? I leaned back, watching Boston disappear in the rearview mirror. Champagne first. The end.